Hey there, this is Workbench with Workbench Quagmire. Back with our free code camp Python certification in 100-ish days. Today is day 59. We're going to go through this section here. What is polymorphism? How does it promote code reuse? So let's get started. Polymorphism is the next key concept of object-oriented programming we will talk about. What is polymorphism? With polymorphism, you have access to an interface where you can interact with many objects of the same kind. Let's take a deeper look at polymorphism and how it lets you reuse code. So polymorphism allows methods in different classes to share the same name but perform different tasks. You can call the same method name on different objects, and each responds in its own way. Here's an example of basic example of polymorphism. Class A has an action. Class B has the same method action. Class C has the same method action. And then class.method works for A, B, and C. Here's an example using different animal sounds to depict polymorphism. So a cat, we define speak, a cat meows. Bird tweets. And then a monkey ooh, ah. So, and then we define our animal sound. We give it an animal and then print animal speak. So, animal sound cat, animal sound bird, and animal sound monkey. So in this example, animal sound is a function that takes any object with a speak method. When you pass in cat, bird, or monkey, it calls speak method of the object and prints the result. Because each class defines speak differently, you get different output from the same function. That is polymorphism in action. Okay. So really, this is about this function. So we give it a class and we use the method, and this method would be the same. So depending on the class we feed it, we get a different speak. Here's another example, this time with instances and an attribute. So we have Twitter, which has content. We have a post. So tweet with the content. Instagram also has content. Then Instagram has post, and it does a different kind of post. And then LinkedIn has content and it has post. So start social media dot post, calls post on any object. So the key here is we're feeding it a class, and then basically saying whichever class you give it, you call the post method. So instances, tweet equals Twitter. Just learn Python polymorphism. Photo, Instagram, Sunset Vibes, article. And then when we start.tweet, basically, or photo or article, it's going to call, we've given it a class, basically, for each one of these, and it does each individual unique things. There's also a kind of polymorphism called inheritance-based polymorphism. In inheritance-based polymorphism, a parent class defines a method and multiple child classes override that method in their own way. So in inheritance-based polymorphism, the parent class defines a method and the multiple child classes override that method in their own way. You could then call the same method on any child object and it behaves differently depending on which child class it is. So here's an example. So we have an animal, speaks. We have a cat, which inherits from an animal, and it has a speak. We have a dog, and we have a monkey. And say we print speak cat, print speak dog. So each one of these has its own speak. You can see that each child class of the parent animal class overrides the speak method to provide its own implementation. So when you call the speak method on an instance of So you can see that a child class of the parent animal class overrides the speak method to provide its own implementation. So when you call speak method on an instance of each subclass, it returns a specific sound associated with that animal. You can also take things further and do the calling in a list, then loop through the list to display what speak method returns for each. So here we have a list of classes and say for animal or class in our class list, print that class's speak method. So there's our output. Okay, to our questions. What is polymorphism in object-oriented programming? It's when a class cannot have methods with the same name. Nope. When different classes could use the same method name but implement it differently. I think that might be the winner. When a method must be unique across all classes. That's not true. When a child class deletes a parent's class method. Nope. I think option 2. It's when different classes can use the same method name but implement it differently. In inheritance-based polymorphism, what must a child class do to provide its own implementation of a method defined in the parent class? Override the method by redefining it with the same name. I think that's true. Declare the method as static. No. I think that's a Java thing. Delete the parent method first. No. Or use polymorphic decorator. Nope. I think option 1 here. And what is the key benefit of inheritance-based polymorphism? It forces all child classes to implement the identical behavior. No. It prevents child classes from modifying parent methods. No. It allows calling the same method name on different child objects with each executing its own version. I think that's correct. It merges all child methods into the parent class. That's not true. So let's check our answers. All right. So we got one more theory section here. And again, I'm going to call this video short. So we don't have to have a really long video. So next time we'll start with what is name mangling and how does it work? I'd never even heard of this before. So this is going to be new to me. I've heard of polymorphism and inheritance. Name mangling is something I've never heard. So we'll talk about that next time. This is Workbench Quagmire. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.